Hi, welcome again. If you have just been joining us recently, we had a few technical issues with our guests, so we're restarting again, and hopefully this one will work. If you're just joining us now for the first time, this is Lunchtime Live, and we're going to be talking all about epilepsy and traveling, which is a topic I really want to talk about. So let's hope we can get Imogen back online again. We're just going to try and invite her again. Stay quiet for a little bit just because it takes a little bit of time when she's joining. Hey.
Now, can you see me? Or are you seeing my...
something yellow?
No, it's...
Well, I can see
hey, let's try this. There we go.
You know, hi.
Yeah.
Second time,
Hey.
hopefully.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. So, we were talking, I think, just before you got cut off, that you've obviously you have travelled so many different places that I want to talk about throughout our chat. But one of them being Istanbul, that you've just come back from. So just wondered how that trip went for you. It's an amazing city.
It's absolutely beautiful, but I must admit it was a bit too busy for me. Yeah. And at times, all the stress from all the Del boys trying to sell you things in the Grand Bazaar.
I remember lots of people following, just trying. They're so animated and excited. But yeah, it's not a relaxing city in that sense, isn't it? Even though the views are beautiful.
Exactly. I mean, it was a nice week, but I wouldn't go back there because it was just a bit too stressful for me, and epilepsy. Yeah, I got a few warnings when I was there.
Right. Okay. And I guess that's the thing about epilepsy and traveling is so individual for everyone. So, you know, some people like really relaxing holidays, some people like the hectic bustle of the city, and others like, which I feel like is more for you, is more just getting out there and exploring kind of really unusual places, climbing mountains, all that stuff. So just tell us how you got into traveling. First of all, has it been a bug that you've always had, or is it something that you've got throughout your life?
I've always had it because my dad has always been a big traveller for his work, and he used to take me to various countries, mainly Europe, and that's how I got into it, really. And then when I left the nest, what was it, 2014, and I went on this most incredible hiking trip with this meetup group to Slovenia.
Okay.
It was just life-changing for me because it told me, wow, all these mountains, so much fun. It's great traveling with people. Never mind about epilepsy. This is my life, you know. And Slovenia, if you like hiking, I strongly recommend it. Yeah.
It sounds beautiful. So was that a really pivotal moment then in that kind of epilepsy journey? Because you've actually, let's start at the beginning, because you developed epilepsy at the age of 9, is that right? But after a car accident, so I guess that must have taken totally out the blue and then left you with a huge impact on your life. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah. So when I was 9, I was crossing the road and I was hit by a speeding on the phone driver, and I had a hemorrhage on the spot and seizures began instantly. And I've had epilepsy since, uncontrolled. And it was brand new to our family because we've never had it in the family before. So it was very life-changing. And I've tried brain surgery, I've tried the vagus nerve stimuli, you name it, and I'm still having seizures. But yeah, I don't let it stop me doing what I love, and that's traveling and exploring.
No, I mean, that's incredible, because you do still have uncontrolled seizures, but like you say, you clearly have taken the decision that you're not going to let it stop you, and that you still want to get out and about and explore places. So what's kind of been the most interesting place that you've been to?
Well, that's pretty tricky because I've been to nearly 70 countries now.
Wow.
But I have a big thing for South America. South America has landscapes, nature. Oh, it's incredible. I really recommend Argentina, especially Buenos Aires, because I went to watch all the tango. Patagonia was an incredible trip because it's the best place in the world to hike. The mountains make you cry. Peru, where I do conservation holidays as well. And I did an incredible one in the Amazon rainforest in Peru. And we were going around surveying wildlife. We saw a jaguar. We were making notes. We were cleaning the forest. So that was incredible. And Kilimanjaro, Tanzania. Yeah, that was breathtaking, because hiking the highest mountain in Africa, getting to the summit, I did it.
Yeah.
And then Masai Mara, which is mainly in Kenya, but we did some of it. And I have a thing for animals because they don't judge you. And yeah, I saw lions, and I've been to Africa many times, and I really recommend like the Masai Mara if you want to see lots of wildlife.
Sure.
Yeah.
Do you feel like when you talked a lot there about wildlife and nature and hiking, do you feel there's something in there that kind of, when you have epilepsy, when you're out there, is there something in there that just reminds you of life and what's around us? Does it kind of give you a bit of a calming and grounding effect, do you think? I'm just thinking about the effect of getting out there and seeing different places. What impact do you think that has on your epilepsy?
Well, it's wonderful because it really, traveling, exploring, as you put it, seeing everything new, changes, different cultures. It really tells me why I'm alive. I've had a number of brain injuries, and epilepsy has nearly taken me twice. And just all the experiences of seeing incredible places just tells me why I'm still here. And I don't know about everyone else, but when I'm really happy, I just don't have a seizure. Mm-hmm. Epilepsy is as unpredictable as life, but I know when I'm not going to have a seizure. And I recently went to South Africa, and they were questioning whether I should do the bush camping. They were saying, is this really safe? You're in the middle of nowhere, And I was like, I know I'm not going to have one because of the shooting stars, of listening to the roaring lions, being out in the wild. And sure enough, I didn't have one.
Amazing.
So when you know your brain, you really know you're safe, sort of thing.
And that's the thing, isn't it? Everyone's epilepsy is so individual. So it's your own body better than anyone else, and you can get a sense of what's going to trigger. Did you find, so when you go to lots of different places, I can imagine loads of different cultures and systems, around healthcare and stuff, did you find that some countries have been more accepting and understanding, or do you find that when you have been some countries, you've had to really battle to just feel like you can be there and enjoy your trip?
Yes, it is. It does vary a lot. I would say some countries, they definitely overreact. Finland certainly did, but they spoke wonderful English, so you could communicate with them fine. Mm-hmm. Places like Africa, they couldn't care less about, epilepsy. They don't know anything about it, so they'll let you bungee jump, skydive, everything without permission. I was in California, in San Francisco, and I had a seizure, and they just handled it perfectly. A wonderful man found me, and I was invited back to his house, which was next to the Mrs. Doubtfire's house. Oh. So that was a treat.
The one that you used in the filming?
Yeah. 26 Steiner Street or 2640 Steiner Street, that's it.
That's incredible. I guess you weren't expecting that from your trip. That was an unexpected highlight.
It's exactly, and where else? I had one on my own in Buenos Aires. And as always, when I go out walking alone and I'm in a new country, I don't take my money with me. I only take a bit of cash, and that's it. As well as hotel details. Yeah. And a wonderful woman found me, a Spanish woman. She was like, "Señorita, you okay? You okay?" And she found my hotel details, and she walked me back to the hotel. Yeah, so it depends on the place, but I find 99% of the time people are really nice and caring wherever you are.
Definitely. And I think, do you feel like you've grown in confidence as well and to be able to challenge or say what you need? Do you think that's come with time as well? Because I know for some people, it can be hard to know what to ask for, how to ask for it, you know, without feeling like you're a burden. So are there any tips you can give there? Because if anyone's watching who think they want to do more traveling or just to see the world a bit more, any tips that you can give people?
Well, I always do a sort of health passport before I travel, before I go with a tour company. And it has next of kin details, NHS number, all these sort of things on it. It's only A4 and possibly a bit longer, as well as my medical history on it, very brief, and what one should do if I have a seizure. And it's very simplified, put me on my side, wait 5 minutes, that's it, sort of thing. And I'll always take that with me, but I'll always forward it to the tour company beforehand. And I'll wait for their response, really. And if they're, as some companies will say, you've got epilepsy, I don't think you should do this, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. So I don't go with those companies because I know they're going to be very protective, they're going to restrict me, they're not going to let me do the zip lining or things like that. But the companies that say, okay then, we know what to do, thank you for all this information, have a great time, I'll go with. And yeah, it's all really good.
No, that's obviously really practical advice as well as knowing how you talk to the tour companies as well. Is the ones that do it well, can you explain kind of what it is that they did well to make you feel part of that trip and like you can just do all the things, the incredible things that they're offering?
Well, I'd say, sorry, actually, could you repeat that question?
Yeah, of course. Just saying that the tour companies that do it well and, you know, that do take your needs into consideration and, you know, they're really accommodating, what is it that they do that makes that difference?
Well, I find it's companies that don't treat me differently. What I hate is companies who overprotect and nanny me and say, oh, have you taken your medication and blah, 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 blah. I don't like those. I like companies who will just check they've got all the information and their communication is good. So often I test them. I'll send them multiple emails and I'll wait how long they reply. And, you know, I'll remind the tour guide and I'll say at the tour, when at the start of a tour, everyone introduces themselves and I'll say, hi, I'm Imogen and so on, blah, blah, blah. And then I'll speak to the tour guide and say, do you know that I have epilepsy? And I'll wait to hear what they, you know, yes, and everything. I'll tell them what to do. And it's companies who listen to me. Yeah. So as I say, communication, like this South Africa company, African Impact. Yeah, they were brilliant. And another one who I'm going to, Indonesia with next year.
Okay.
Again. Can I say the name?
You can say who you're going with next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to Indonesia and Malaysia with Intrepid.
Okay.
And Intrepid are really good. I had a seizure with them in Morocco. I don't know whether they did it purposefully, but they chose a tour guide whose brother had epilepsy.
Oh.
And so she knew exactly what to do. Didn't overreact. I could do all the activities in the holiday. Had a seizure, and there you go. You know, let's live life.
It just shows that you being assertive and knowing what to do, knowing what to say. The tour companies, the good ones, obviously will listen and make those accommodations for you. That's really good to hear.
Yeah.
And yeah. I can just see a comment earlier on from David, I think, just saying it's really inspiring to hear the direction that you've gone in. So I think it's just really nice to see some of the love hearts that are popping up. Just obviously, I think it's a really important topic because we know from a lot of people that we speak to, they talk about isolation or feeling like they can't be independent. And it's like, what advice would you give there? Because, you know, like they might be worried to leave the house for fear of having a seizure, or, you know, not even like the trips that you talk about. Sometimes it can just be simple things like going away for a weekend or just, you know, doing life things. So what kind of tips would you give to people who might be just like a little bit cautious of doing those things?
Okay, well, I would recommend going to a what are they called, tour companies. Don't use Google or anything at first to just put random tour companies. Go to a trail finders. Yeah, trail finders are very good. And you explain your situation, your concerns and everything. And the good thing about like trail finders and such companies is they'll give you an itinerary which totally reduces stress.
Right. Okay.
It will it will say like at this time is your flight, at 5 p.m. you're getting collected from the hotel to go to this day you're going on the tour, it ends then, and then there you go. So I really recommend using like tour companies, so that sort of thing. And um, don't be yourself. Don't let epilepsy take over your life. I know it's really hard at times because of how judgmental some people are, and I've had bad experiences on holiday, I must admit, but everything in life is a risk. And as I said, when you travel and you travel solo, you learn so much more about yourself. It's really awakening. I mean, when I went to what was it, Namibia, I didn't realize, how much I loved animals beforehand, and it was incredible how much how peaceful I found it. I volunteered in a wildlife orphanage, and I was talking to a baby baboon about how I'm so sorry we're killing the rainforest, and the creature gave me a kiss.
Oh,
And exactly, and it was so touching, and I was like, wow.
they know
And then I went,
they're intelligent.
they're incredible. And then I went whale watching in Australia, and the humpback, the breaching creature. I tell you, everyone, if you can, go whale watching somewhere. It takes you away. But Iceland is the closest to us, I think.
Okay.
And
What what
but
what,
it's orcas. Yeah.
what did you do?
Different. Sorry?
What did you do when you went to Iceland? Was that obviously loads of mountains and glaciers?
Yeah, it was stunning. It's absolutely beautiful. I must admit, the capital, whatever it was called, I can't remember, was very touristy.
It Reykjavik.
Um, yeah, the whale watching there wasn't as good as Sri Lanka and Australia, but long distance. One thing you have to be careful of is long distance flights. I find jet lag, of course. So check with your doctor, your neurologist, if you can take. Maybe you can adjust medication for the first week or something if you need more, or any strategies to perhaps make you less tired, which will, reduce the chance of a seizure probably. And check with the airline as well. I have my favorite airline, and I'll let you know that's British Airways, because last time I had a seizure with them, they were amazing, and they even called me up the next day and said, "Are you feeling better?"
So small things again, isn't it? It's often the small things that can make the big difference, as much as the things that should be in place anyway. It's just those little gestures from people.
Yes.
Like
Yeah, just the littlest of things. And when, what was it, Austria is a lovely place as well, and I met the most wonderful Swiss woman there, when we're now like best friends, and sometimes I go to Switzerland to visit her, and my next plan is to hike the Mont Blanc and stay with her. I said, you can come to Bristol, but it's nothing compared to Switzerland, I'll tell you.
I mean, Bristol's very pretty, but yeah, no, I can imagine Austria, Switzerland gives it a run for its money. We've had a question from David again, I think, just saying what gave you the inspiration to travel. I know you touched upon that. If you're just joining, we're just talking to Imogen, and you have a blog, Mountains Within, that talks all about your traveling experiences. So kind of, what was that? I guess, like you say, you traveled a lot when you were a child, but do you think it just developed as well over time? The more you did it, the more you wanted to do something else?
Well, I had a tricky youth because of the hit and run. We did an 11-year court case, my father and I, And as you can imagine, during a court case as a child, and you're criticised 24/7 and blah blah blah, and your parents are very protective and you're very controlled. And it was one occasion in 2013 or whenever it was, someone called me a woman, and I thought to myself, I am a woman. I may have epilepsy, I may have been hit by a car and blah blah blah, but I'm no different. I'm a woman. And I sort of stamped my foot down and I said, I'm going to prove to everyone that I can be as independent as my sister, as everyone else who doesn't have epilepsy. And so I headed off to Slovenia, and now, what can I say? In a few weeks, I'm off to Hungary. So
I guess you have like a suitcase that's literally always by your front door, just ready to go.
It costs a fortune, but c'est la vie. I did love you. Yeah.
Incredible. There was one line on your blog that I really liked, was just that everyone, whether you've got epilepsy or not, just has the right to enjoy the wonders of this world. And you shouldn't be discouraged from adventure, exploration and freedom. I thought that was a really beautiful line, that just, even if you can't get to all these sort of far-flung places that you mentioned, I think it's just reminding yourself that you have the right to get out there and see people, speak to people, meet new people and try different things. I think whoever's watching, I think anyone hopefully can take some inspiration from your words. Would you like to tell us more about that, just kind of where you got those feelings?
Exactly. I mean, in what was it? It was I had a very bad experience in Mexico, Guatemala, at the start of the year with a tour company, and unfortunately I had a seizure, and the tour guide handled it horribly, and she was very mean, and she was saying, you shouldn't be doing trips like this, you're scaring people, you're ruining people's holidays. And what can I say? She was the first out of all the years I've done, and it really hurt me. I lost confidence in traveling. I was like, oh my God, I can't do this anymore, and blah blah. And I had this South Africa trip planned, and I was telling myself, you've got to cancel South Africa. But then after thinking about it, as the person quoted, I thought, hang on, no, I don't care what she says. I know I have epilepsy, but I have every right to see this planet, to explore this beautiful place. I haven't been to South Africa before. I've always wanted to go to Cape Town. I want to go and see the wildlife again, because wildlife listen to me and I can talk to them about my mental health problems and they won't judge me, And what can I say? I mean, and I was doing a conservation holiday in Kruger National Park, and it was incredible because we saw elephants, hippos, aardvarks, and we were training poaching, an anti-poaching dog. And I volunteered to be the person. They put protection on my arm, and the dog came charging towards me like I was a rhino poacher. Jumped up on me, and it was, oh my gosh, good boy, good boy, good boy, keep biting me. And it was a wonderful experience. And now I'm back to, I'm like, epilepsy, c'est la vie. I have every right to explore this incredible planet.
Sorry, I'm just feeling a bit I'm just recovering from a bad cold at the moment, sorry.
Oh, bad luck.
Right, you can keep talking for a bit more. We've just got a quick question. Any advice on finding the right medical facilities when you're abroad? Do you have any tips on choosing places to visit?
Well, it varies, because if you're doing a tour in the middle of nowhere and you're hiking a mountain, or you're seeing all the hot spots in the Amazon rainforest or whatever, you have to do a tour. But when I'm doing my solo, as in no one else, I'm completely on my own, I always go into a touristy area where I know there's going to be plenty of people around me who speak English. It's going to, transport, you name it, and there's going to be hospitals, so i.e. a city. Like I've done things like Paris, Barcelona, Copenhagen. Stockholm was fun. I don't know if you like ABBA, but the museum's brilliant, Dancing Queen. Think places like that if you're going to do solo. I would recommend. And America, Canada's a great place. Again, choose a city, but I find medical treatment there, people, they're angels. Yeah, it's a great place. Don't do Africa alone. I'd say it's a bit dangerous, especially if you're a woman.
Yeah, no, I can imagine. So you've got to be really practical as much as thinking about, all the things you want to do. So just think about who you are and, where you're going, and do lots of research in advance, I guess.
And also, I don't know about everyone else, but I like a routine. I find routine reduces stress and therefore reduce the chance of a seizure. So when I'm like traveling alone, when I was on 5 days alone in Stockholm, wherever it was, I had like, okay, Monday, you're doing the ABBA Museum. Tuesday, I can't remember, doing this. Wednesday, this, blah, blah, blah. And book, do use Tour Radar, perhaps book a day tour in advance or something like that. So routine always, I find a schedule, whatever, helps. And then I guess hotel-wise, I haven't done a youth hostel alone because there's going to be less medical, knowledge and so on. So pick a, a hotel. I can't recommend any, unfortunately. But go on reviews, and that would be good.
Definitely, that's really helpful advice. And do you have I guess you've obviously got family and you keep in touch with people, but is there a way that you can any tips on keeping in touch with loved ones back home beyond like texting and calling? But is there anything like you've set up practically to reassure people back home that you're okay as well?
Well, it's sort of, as soon as I get to the country, I always send an email to my dad to say, don't worry, I'm fine. And there you go. And then if you want to do, I'm with O2, and it's the only telephone company that doesn't charge you in European countries now.
Okay, yeah.
So that's sort of why I'm with them. So I can use it as much as I want, just to, say, Daddy, don't worry. And then when I'm hiking a mountain and stuff, just before I set off, I inform them, I send them an email from the hotel to say, I'm on my way, hiking Kilimanjaro, I'm sure I'll be fine. And that sort of thing.
Do you find heat can be a trigger, when I know you've talked about some very cold countries, but when you're out in, say, Africa or, Mexico, South America, do you find heat can be a trigger for your seizures, or is that less of is it more like stress and worry for you?
No, you're very right. Heat is on the list. Okay. I'd say whenever you go, take your dear water bottle with you everywhere you go, and drink. Yeah. I often learn the word for water before I go to a country, and Delors, you're in Paris, or Delors, whatever, how you pronounce it. But I can tell you 90% of the time people will be able to know what water is.
Water in Icelandic, do you know that? I don't. I'm just asking out of interest.
I'm afraid I don't. The only thing I remember from Turkey is the F word. Sorry.
Well, that could come in handy at some point. You never know. But no, it's a really good tip. Actually, just learning key words like water, help, epilepsy. Yeah. In different languages, so that you can at least say those words, even if you can't actually speak, fluently. I know there are the International Bureau for Epilepsy. We have lots of links on our website, but we have they have produced like a guide about epilepsy in foreign languages, so you can kind of take that with you if that's something that you found helpful. Just so it communicates some of those epilepsy-related phrases in different languages when you're traveling.
And one thing I also do is I have, the hidden disability, I have epilepsy thing.
Yeah.
And when I'm, not feeling great and stuff, I still wear it when I'm abroad. So should I have a seizure, and there's a passerby and they can see that, epilepsy, they can read it. When I was hiking Table Mountain in Cape Town, I was wearing it and stuff. And when I was on the beach, in France a few months ago, yeah.
And do you find that have you met other people with epilepsy when you're out there and they're like, oh, hey, it's just, or do you feel like it's not very common that you tend to meet a lot of travellers with epilepsy?
I haven't met anyone with epilepsy abroad. Plenty of mental health struggles I've met. Like when I was working with mountain gorillas in Uganda, there was a lovely woman there, and she suffered depression, and she was now recovering and taking a year off. And then there was people there with eating disorders and stuff who found animals helped. But yeah, no epilepsy.
No, that's really interesting. I just wondered whether, often you meet all sorts of people when you're abroad. I just wondered whether epilepsy, if that's a common thing that you found people. But I guess, like you say, there's still lots of barriers but you've obviously worked very hard to overcome and not letting things stand in your way. Tell us more about your blog. If anyone's really been, because it's been a really interesting chat, like Mountains Within, what gave you the inspiration to start that?
Well, that was my friend Sophie, because I've had multiple traumas in my life, and she said, you've got so much to say. I want you to talk about this so you can help other people and inspire them. And so I've been doing that. I've been a bit slow lately, so I need to get back into it. But another friend recently told me, look, you should start a website about traveling with hidden disabilities. And so I'm planning to do that more, and like maybe review companies a bit more about mental health. And yeah, like in South Africa, I was struggling with my bulimia, and the manager took me on a calorie burning walk, watching out for predators. And yeah, it was really good. So I feel everyone has a right to explore, be in control of their lives, never mind their conditions, disabilities. And so I'd love to keep, inspiring people.
Definitely. So definitely check out, we'll put it in the link below, but Mountains Within is definitely worth a check. And I guess you'll be documenting about Indonesia, that you've got your trip planned next year. I guess you're going to have loads to share about that as well.
Well, next year's quite big, because it's in January. I'm going to Vietnam and Thailand. And Thailand, I'm helping at a wildlife orphanage. So there's going to be Asian elephants, perhaps tigers. I don't know. I checked that it's a genuine, not touristy place. And then it's Indonesia and Malaysia. And then I'm going to Patagonia again, but Chile this side, the Chilean side. Because I tell you, if you like mountains, you go to Patagonia. or Norway. Norway's very expensive, but incredible. Yeah.
And where do you, I guess, you've obviously listed loads of places there already, but is there anywhere that you haven't been yet that is like on your wish list?
Well, I really I love Africa. Because of what it offers. I haven't been to Botswana yet.
Okay.
And I haven't seen a white rhino in the wild. I've seen the big five. Saw plenty of buffalo in South Africa. But I haven't seen a white rhino, so I'd love to do that. And then I've always wanted to go to Orlando in America because of the mountains there. And it's supposed to be beautiful. My sister lives in Los Angeles, but I have absolutely no interest in going to Los Angeles.
Yeah, it's like you say, if it's a lots of people, I guess you need the space and the time to reflect, and the scenes rather than bustling people. I think it just gives you that sense of peace and calm that makes such a difference.
I really conservation holidays aren't like easy, but I really recommend them for meeting people, helping the planet, feeling purpose, and really putting epilepsy in the bin, sort of thing. You're like, I'm not letting it stopping me save the planet. They're really good. And if you can, everyone one day go to the Amazon and just look up at the night sky, and you'll feel I'm lucky to be alive. the night sky of the Amazon.
Well, I mean, that, but we're all sitting in the office at the moment, so all these stories are just making us feel very yeah, itching to get out. What sort of one last question I wanted to ask you is, what has epilepsy taught you? I think you've touched on so much already, but what has epilepsy it's obviously taught you a huge sense of adventure, but do you feel there's anything that you've learned as a result of having this sort of life-changing condition from when you were a young girl?
It's taught me to be more resilient. You know, life's a challenge, you know, crap can happen, but you've got to keep fighting. You know, you can't let whatever stop you, because when there's something, you know what you love to do, you know who you are, you have your values, and you've really got to think about your values, and you can't let, and I just don't let epilepsy stop me. You know, like this morning at the gym, my personal trainer made me push 200 kilograms, and that's a baby elephant almost, sort of thing. And I was like, oh my God, am I going to have a seizure if I push my body so much? But it's what I love to do. I love to, you know, do weightlifting and everything. I did it, didn't have a seizure, and I was more, yeah.
You lifted,
you know.
the elephant.
It's just, you know, it's a challenge, and it's always scary to do things. I mean, 2014 was a real challenge for me because it was the first tour I did after something very traumatic happened to me on holiday, nothing to do with epilepsy. And the voice in my head was saying, you sure you want to do this? Are you crazy? And blah, blah, blah. And I was having more seizures because of it. But then again, I was like, no, I know what I love to do. What happened is in the past, you know, and here I am today, nearly 70 countries ticked off the list and plenty more to do.
Well, it's been really, really interesting to talk to you, Imogen. I know we've had loads of comments saying you're a great advocate, you've been an inspiration to talk to. So just know that you're reaching out to other people and helping to make a difference for them. So I guess if anyone wants to read your blog, it's mountainswithin.co.uk, is that right?
Yes, and I'd say if I think you're better off contacting me on Facebook, because Facebook's much easier to do. But if you want any help with advice on where to go, companies to use, I'd be more than happy to lend a hand. And really get yourself out there, because we live on an incredible planet and there's so much to see and do.
I think we end it there. That's just a perfect ending. It's been great to talk to you, and please check out Imogen's site and get in touch. And happy travels, Imogen, to Hungary, isn't it? And then for your big trips next year. But it's been a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you.
Welcome. Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.